I got my boy Harrison ready for an interview. We all loved, and all of you were super excited to find out that Harrison was Claudius's brother. So Claudius was my most recent interviewee just a few weeks ago, and I met Harrison for the very first time in Miami at a random Italian cafe, and my friend Claudius said, "Hey, my brother trades crypto." Harrison, that was all he said. My brother trades crypto, and when I hear that most of the time, I'm like, okay, like it's just the normal. It's probably like the normal story. And then within 8 seconds, you started talking about open-based protocols and proof of stake. I was like, my man. So, ladies and gentlemen, Harrison is a crypto enthusiast, a specialist at many things. We're gonna get his life story, his background, but we're also going to talk blockchain, and we're going to discuss future capabilities of what this is going to do and things and projects that we're excited about. So Harrison, my man, thank you for being here, bro.
Yeah, of course.
This is going to be thrilling. So can you give everyone a little bit of background on you?
Yeah, so I actually start back when I used to be a DJ. So I graduated college in 2016. And while I was in college, that's when I started DJing. But when I graduated, I still wanted to continue DJing, and then got into some of the bigger nightclubs down here in Columbus, Ohio, which is where I'm based out of. And some of my DJ buddies started talking about Litecoin, and I'd actually heard about Bitcoin way back in I want to say 2013. Some high school friends of mine, actually, I think they I don't know exactly what they did, but I think they went out to California for some sort of Bitcoin startup or some sort of cryptocurrency startup. It kind of fizzled out, but that was the first time I ever heard about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and I didn't look into it at all back in 2013. I wish I did. Obviously, I didn't look into it at all. I just thought, oh, okay, that's cool, Bitcoin, whatever. I'm a high school kid. I didn't really understand. And then come 2017, like I said, I'm DJing. My friends are talking about this thing called Litecoin and all this extra money they're making. And that's how really the majority of people get in. I mean, if you've seen the recent, Dogecoin and SafeMoon people and all that fun stuff, like everyone's really getting in because they want to make some money, right? And I completely understand that. Like I said, that's how I got in. I got in just I made a Binance account in 2017, and I didn't know at the time, Binance was I think it was created around early 2017. So it's actually, when I think about it, it seems like such a cryptocurrency staple that to think that it was only around since 2017 is crazy to think about.
Right.
But so I made a Binance account, and I called myself a trader. Long story short, I lost a lot of money because I genuinely didn't know what I was doing. When a lot of people get into the space, they might pull up Coin Market Cap, for example, and they'll just see this huge list of cryptos. Obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum are number one and number two. But they might just think they're all the same. They all do similar things. They might not understand tokenomics or understand, wallets or understand market cap, things like that. And because I certainly didn't. All I was looking for was, like I said, that big win, that SafeMoon or whatever it is nowadays.
Yeah.
So I bought a lot of coins and sold a lot of them almost immediately, just because I had absolute paper hands, didn't do any research, didn't know what I was doing. And I bought some, I mainly bought Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then just tried to day trade it. And like I said, it didn't go super well because, back then, obviously the market was still crazy choppy. And this was back when, you could get, Bitcoin at $9,000. And the way the market is looking, we might get it back again here within a month. But so yeah, I was trading. I was at least trying to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum, and just watching various YouTube videos and sort of trying to understand how markets work. And what I didn't realize at that time is that to do to do technical analysis on Bitcoin and Ethereum at that time, I mean, it was really iffy just because the liquidity, simply wasn't there, and it was very easy for things to get manipulated. It was very easy for whales to come in and basically move the entire markets. I mean, we kind of see that today, especially with Elon, saying things, and then, markets move up and down, whole percentage points, double percentage points. So I kind of put away crypto for, I was doing it for about, from 2017 to 2018. So I kind of put it away just because, I mean, it wasn't working out for me at all. And then right around, but I always kind of knew, like, I always felt like there was something there, right? I hadn't really done the research at the time, but I felt like this was, sort of new and exciting. So I always kind of had it in the back of my mind, like, if there's ever a huge dip, I'm just gonna, go all in, right? And that's when 2020 came around and the pandemic. And we obviously had March 12th, that beautiful, beautiful day, sea of red. And I had a little bit of money saved aside. I think I had about $5,000, and I just put it all into Bitcoin. And within a month, I had over doubled my money. And that's when I really started. That's when I really started looking into and researching and understanding, like, what cryptocurrencies are. I mean, even the term currency is a misnomer. Like, most of these aren't currencies. No one's really using these to, like, transact on a day-to-day basis. A more accurate term really is like digital asset, right? Or token is a more accurate term. But there's just so much, not just misinformation, but things that I had to learn. And really, back in 2020, again, I was still sort of trying to do the trading thing, but it wasn't until probably, I would say, wasn't probably until, I want to say, about August or September of 2020 that I really finalized, like, a investment strategy. I really moved more from, like, a trader's perspective to more of like a long-term investment strategy, long-term investment strategy, basically, because I realized, like, that's where the majority of the gains were, right? The crypto market as a whole is still so small and still so early. I mean, that's something you'll hear, all the time from crypto folks is, oh, we're so early, and it's because we really are. The market is still so early that the majority of gains that most people will have won't come from trading, but will just simply come from holding really, really good coins. And the last time I spoke with you, the first time we met, I said that basically it's impossible to trade cryptos, and I only said it because I couldn't do it, right? So, but what I've come to realize is that it's actually not impossible. There's actually people out there who are making a lot of money, like trading, like day trading cryptos on a day-to-day basis. But it really is a handful of people, and more power to them. But the majority of gains, like I said, for most people and for me especially, have come from being early into really good coins and just holding them, right? Like, it's really that simple. But yeah, that's my story.
It's a good point, man. And you're talking about being in good coins. How do you suggest someone go about researching good coins, and how would they know the viability of such an instrument?
Yeah, so in my opinion, the majority of coins, like, that are on CoinMarketCap, for example, long term, they will not stick around. So the way I go about looking for new coins is essentially, one, I'm looking for platforms, right? Things that are there for people to build upon, right? Obviously, the first and most cryptocurrency that comes into mind is Ethereum, right? Ethereum is basically a decentralized blockchain that other people can build their own cryptocurrencies on. And having that platform status is huge, right? being able to not just be like an app, for example, but being able to be a whole ecosystem for people to build things around is fantastic. So that's one of the things that I look for, like having this sort of platform status. Another thing that I look for is one of the main drawbacks of cryptocurrencies at this moment in time is just usability, right? How easy is it to use for the everyday person? A lot of this stuff, not just to understand it, but just to use it, requires sort of a technical mindset, right? And my older brother, Claude, he's a CTO by trade, but I do a little bit of computer programming on my own, just building personal tools, right? And I even have to use even sometimes I'll talk to Claude about some of these coins, and he just won't understand, because it takes a certain kind of technical mindset. You have to actually sometimes get into the code, right, and understand what's going on behind there. So coins that in my opinion abstract a lot of that technical know-how out, I think are going to win in the long term. Better UX, easier to use. I really think about it a lot as the early days of the internet, right? Back in the early days of the internet, like these are the really, really early days. We didn't even have URLs, right? We had IP addresses. You would have to type in an IP address, and the URL really came into being with I think with more innovative browsers. I think it was like Netscape or something. Netscape was the killer app for the internet, essentially, on being able to onboard millions of people onto the internet, because all of a sudden it became significantly more user friendly, right? So one of the user friendliness again is something that I'm really looking forward to, especially for like retail investors, right? Because again, if you look at the whole Dogecoin thing, I think one of the main drivers as to why Dogecoin became so popular is because people could just buy it off of Robinhood, right? Robinhood is it's democratized investing, and you can see a clear correlation between like when Robinhood adds Dogecoin and like when everything really, really starts pumping. And obviously Elon had a little bit to do with that as well. And the next thing I also look for is interoperability. Basically, how well does this token or coin or whatever it does, like how well does it talk with other coins, right? How well does it interact with other coins? Because there's really some great coins out there that just don't interact with a wider ecosystem and are essentially basically silos. If you look at Cardano, for example, Cardano is personally not a coin that I'm invested in, and I probably should have started out and say that like none of this is investment advice, right?
Just talking.
This is just just conversation. I'm not a financial advisor, but if you look at Cardano, I think it used to be at like 3 or 4 or 5 cents like last year or something. And when it really started to shoot up was when they announced EVM compatibility. Essentially, that means that they will be compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine. So developers who develop smart contracts on Ethereum can basically just copy and paste the code, or at least that's how it's supposed to work, in their plans, right? And we can see like once they announced that, like it shot up a significant amount more. So interoperability is super key, because there's a lot of fantastic projects out there that simply don't talk with one another, right? And there's a lot of whole projects like Ren, for example, whose whole purpose is simply to port Bitcoin onto Ethereum so that you can use your BTC for DeFi purposes, right? Because just on Bitcoin alone, Bitcoin's a fantastic store of value, and you can send it, and receive it cheaply, but you can't do any of like the DeFi things that you can do with with coins on Ethereum or any of these other blockchains, like maybe Solana or BSC. So Ren as a project, its whole purpose is to be able to, like, you know, you can put your BTC into a smart contract and then get wrapped Bitcoin and essentially earn yield on that, or lend it out, or borrow using an over collateralized loan. So those are three things in general that I just look for, that when I see, I'm like, okay, there's something here, you know.
Now, does it have to be on a specific exchange for you to trust it, or do you operate on purchasing anything on any exchange?
So I've had really, oh, I don't want to say really, but I've had bad luck with centralized exchanges, and I'm actually trying to move off of most centralized exchanges. I think probably 99% of my portfolio on that I'm either holding in like a personal wallet, or I'll go to like a decentralized exchange and I'll buy a token. So the main exchange that I use, honestly, is Uniswap. And Uniswap, I think it's the number, so it's the number 11 crypto by market cap here on CoinMarketCap. Uniswap is great because as opposed to a centralized exchange where they actually hold the tokens, and essentially what you have is an IOU. With Uniswap, you never relinquish control of your tokens. And Uniswap is fantastic because it has literally every DeFi token that you can imagine. Whereas Binance might only have a couple, Binance US might only have like 10. Binance, like the OG Binance, certainly has significantly more. KuCoin has significantly more as well. But in general, the coins that I buy are off of Uniswap, and I try to do as many decentralized. I try to use as many decentralized exchanges as possible, mainly Uniswap. And sometimes I'll use an interface called 1inch, which is a decentralized exchange aggregator. But I try to do mainly decentralized purchases, because, like I said, I have had bad luck with centralized exchanges where I've had my funds locked up. Like earlier today, there was a huge crash in the market. People couldn't open up Binance. People couldn't open up Coinbase.
Right.
That doesn't happen with decentralized exchanges. Uniswap is open 24/7, right? It's never been down as far as I know. And I'm pretty sure it has more total value locked than Binance as a whole. But yeah, long story short, I really don't pay attention to this, if the coin is on a centralized exchange or not, because the majority of the time my purchases are made on decentralized exchanges.
Love it. Great answer. And yeah, I know Charlie Shrem was a huge Uniswap fan and was talking, was probably one of the main contributors of that particular coin doing so well, most likely. But in your take, man, what's your thoughts on regulation in this industry? And is that going to be a super positive or a super negative?
So regulation is it's one of those things where people are, will take two sides of it, right? So the people who are really, really early into crypto, into Bitcoin, like the cypherpunks and etc., they don't want any regulation. They want everything to be decentralized, no KYC, no AML, none of that. They want everything to be, peer to peer, and that's a great ideal, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not sustainable, especially if you want to get institutional investors, which I think we're starting to see more of, especially with the rise of Bitcoin and the rise of the Bitcoin narrative as a store of value. Especially if we want to get more institutional folks, we need that regulatory clarity, right? It's incredibly, because they're legally bound to be responsible fiduciaries, right? So so if they want to, buy 5% put 5% of their portfolio into Bitcoin, and there's like a there's all this gray area about it legally. That's not a good look for them, and I'm sure they could get into some legal trouble. But overall, the regulatory outlook, in my opinion, is fairly positive. I see, and the reason I say that is because when I think about the regulatory outlook, I think about two countries in particular: the U.S. and China. China just, I think maybe it was like 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, they released their digital yuan, right? The digital yuan, is exactly as it sounds. It's a digitized form of their yuan, which is their dollar, and basically allows them to have more centralized control. And their goal essentially is to have this digital yuan, and this is an explicit goal that they've stated, to become the reserve-backed currency, right? That's what they want, right? And I think the U.S. obviously the U.S. doesn't want that. The U.S. dollar is the reserve currency, and whoever holds the reserve currency holds a lot of soft power. So I think the U.S. sort of looks to crypto and Bitcoin in general as this market solution to a digital dollar. And I think eventually, the U.S. will come out with a CBDC. And I think what is going through their minds right now is that they want to sort of see this innovation in the crypto space, so that when the time comes, they can, have all this, have basically all the kinks worked out and create their own digital dollar, right? But that's sort of kind of just the, general rumors. Obviously, I don't work for the government, so I can't give any specific details. But Gary Gensler was just nominated by Biden, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Gary Gensler actually used to teach a class on Bitcoin. I think it was back in either MIT or Yale or some Ivy League. So what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of people high up in not just government, but the SEC in particular, who know and understand cryptocurrencies, right? The biggest FUD in terms of regulation I've seen actually has come from some Democrats. I think like Ayanna Pressley a while ago, they were saying something about stablecoins and how they wanted to regulate stablecoins a little more. But I think that sort of just went by the wayside or something. I don't know exactly what happened with it. From what I understand, they put out like some sort of call for people to basically say their grievances, like if this is a good idea or a bad idea. And I think a lot of people in the crypto community made their voices heard. But yeah, I think generally regulation, having that regulatory clarity is a good thing, especially since we want to get all this institutional money eventually into DeFi and into cryptocurrencies as a whole. But overall, in my opinion, I think even if there was some sort of ban on cryptocurrencies by the U.S. One, I think that would I don't think that would align with U.S. values at all. But two, I think we would start to see some blood in the markets. But I think overall that would still make me even more bullish, right? At that point, I'd be buying even more, just because this technology, if you really understand it, it's incredibly hard to crush, even with the strictest regulations, right? You have VPNs, you have privacy networks, you have all these various tools that the everyday person can use basically to get around any sort of regulation. And again, I think the folks at the SEC understand this, right? So I don't think they're looking to implement any bans here coming anytime soon. I think what they really want to see is the ability to be able to catch the bad guys, right? Yeah. And that's a a beautiful thing that a lot of people don't, especially when you're getting into crypto, a lot of people don't realize that it is a completely open ledger, right? So let's say you're a drug smuggler, okay, and you're trying to launder your money through Bitcoin. If the FBI or CIA or whoever gets a hold of your Bitcoin address, right, they can see every single transaction you've made in a completely transparent, in a completely reliable way, 24/7. They literally have a list of every single transaction you've made, so long as they have your public key. Like, so it's for a lot of people in the crime field, like that's a dream come true, right? Where else are you gonna get a perfect documentation of criminal activity like that? Like, even in the fiat world, with HSBC and various banks who do all this money laundering bull, you really don't get that as well. And now obviously, again, there's privacy networks, things to hide that, right? But for the people for the criminals that aren't sophisticated, leaving a trail is incredibly easy, right? So long story short, I see a bullish case for cryptos when it comes to regulation.
Got it. Harrison, give me 2 coins, assets, or tokens that you would never buy.
I would never buy. I'm not inflexible, okay? I'm a big Dogecoin hater, but at the end of the day, I understand it, right? It's a meme. People love it. So there's a phrase that goes, do you want to be rich or do you want to be right? I want to be rich. Okay. So I try to stay, as mentally flexible as possible. It was very hard with Dogecoin just because, like, again, I understand the technology behind it, and I understand that, like, I think there's like one address that holds 30% of all Dogecoin ever created, and it's an incredibly inflationary token, like something to the tune of like 5,300 Doge created every minute or something crazy, right? Again, this is like a coin created by friends who just wanted to see if they could create it, right? There's no solid economics behind it other than the fact that people were buying into it. Some coins that I would never buy. So again, never say never, but some coins that I probably won't buy here in the future. Probably, so Tron for sure. I don't know how much you guys know about Tron, but Tron was basically created by a guy named Justin Sun. It was basically like a duplicate copy of Ethereum, except it's like slightly more centralized. And because it's more centralized, it's like a bit faster. And still it's like number 25 on CoinMarketCap, which again goes to show you just how early we are, because there's so many tokens that are on CoinMarketCap that have billions locked in that are just horrible tokens, like terrible economics. Long story short, Tron was really big during 2017 with retail investors. And it's just probably one of the worst coins. I recently helped a friend, actually. He had a bunch of Tron that he bought again in 2017, and it like went up recently. And I recently helped him sell it all for some USDC. And it was like a good 2 hours trying to figure out how to sell this thing. Like, it's not just super illiquid, but the ecosystem simply isn't there to be able to onboard and offboard yourself onto this thing. Like, it's just like I kind of feel bad because it's really just a money pit. Like, if you actually buy into it, it's really hard to sell out, right? So Tron is a definite no for me. And EOS as well. EOS is actually right next to Tron. I'm looking at it right now. It's number 24. EOS is like EOS was supposed to be an Ethereum competitor, quote unquote ETH killer. Again, this is 2017. Very, very similar to Tron in that, like, it had a group of founders who simply weren't dedicated to the project, and I think they raised a bunch of money and ended up selling all their personal EOS tokens. They dumped on their community and to buy Bitcoin, right? So that just shows you how much they believe in their own project. So EOS, Tron, Neo maybe as well. I think Neo again is a very similar story to EOS and Tron. What else? Yeah, I mean, there's just so many on here. I don't even Qtum. I don't even know what that is. Digibyte, crazy. Like just like I've literally been looking at this same coin market cap list for over 3 years, and there's still so many coins there. I'm just like, what do these do? Like it's crazy. Like who made this? Swissborg? Actually, I think I know what Swissborg is. I couldn't tell you for sure. Bakery token, right? Number 92.
Well, one of my rules is never buy anything with food related names.
Oh, you're gonna have to break that rule. There's like 1 or 2 tokens with food related names. Sushi Swap actually is a fairly good token in my opinion. And I think there's another one called Pancake Swap, which I mean, I said I'm not a trader, but I made a little bit of money off of Pancake Swap. I'll admit that. But yeah, Sushi Swap and Pancake Swap. Yeah, you would even I think Mark Cuban is like heavily invested into Sushi Swap as well. Like you wouldn't suspect.
You have to fill me in though. Why those two in general? Like a quick overview, because you're right. I haven't heard of those two particular ones.
So Sushi Swap got famous as basically they wanted to create what was called a vampire attack on Uniswap. Long story short, what that means is that they were trying to siphon off liquidity from Uniswap. So Sushi Swap basically is a decentralized exchange / yield farming protocol / I think lending and borrowing they're getting into. But long story short, their whole ethos is that Uniswap is great, but Uniswap isn't decentralized enough. And we want to do, we want to be more community oriented. We want to be more decentralized. And so that's how they got started. And honestly, I thought they were, just one of these millions of random food tokens that popped up in the last DeFi summer, which was last year. And that's what I thought. I was like, this is just another random food token. But as they've sort of progressed, their team has gotten better, their roadmap has gotten better, they've gotten some bigger investors who really believe in them, and they've gotten a better vision rather than just being a Uniswap fork or a Uniswap clone, right? So I think in the future they're going to start to do a lot more interesting things. This is again probably one of the coins I wish I would have held on to, but again, like in the early days, they were really just a shit coin. But they've gotten a lot better. So I don't blame you for not knowing who they are and what they do. And then Pancake Swap, again, with all these swap tokens, they're all decentralized exchanges and / yield farming / IDO platforms. But long story short, Pancake Swap was literally a clone of Uniswap, but except it's on the Binance Smart Chain. And when I say clone, I mean like they literally copied and pasted the Uniswap code base right onto PancakeSwap. And we know this because like someone recently, like all this code is open source, so someone recently like opened up their code and there was like comments made by the Uniswap team, right, from that was on PancakeSwap. So like they didn't like erase all the comments or something. So it's literally just a clone of Uniswap, except it's on the Binance Smart Chain. And because it's on the Binance Smart Chain, the fees are less. You can buy other tokens that are on the Binance Smart Chain. But overall, projects that are on the Binance Smart Chain are more centralized than things like Uniswap, right? So in the middle, you have Uniswap, and then on the left, you have Sushi Swap that wants to be more decentralized, and on the right, you have Pancake Swap that wants to be more centralized. And each of these have sort of different positives and negatives. But long story short, in my opinion, Pancake Swap is more of a short-term play. I don't see projects on BSC lasting super long, especially once Ethereum starts to scale. But I think Sushi Swap is Pancake Swap was definitely a great token if you got in early. And I think Sushi Swap is a little undervalued still. I still think it has a good ways to go. I think Uniswap right now is around $40, and PancakeSwap is about half of that, or less than half of that. I'm sorry, SushiSwap is less than half of that, around $15. So I think SushiSwap can still eat up a little bit more of that market cap here.
Got it.
Yeah,
awesome,
but
man.
all,
Thank you for that insight. So, other than Ethereum, then, what are two coins that you do really, or you're very excited by, at least their future potential?
So the last time we talked, I kind of told you about like the strategy that I recommend to a lot of retail investors, people who don't know much about the space, and people who don't want to know too much about the space. They just want to sort of put money in and forget it, right? And that strategy I call C-BED, which the C stands for Celsius, the B stands for Bitcoin, the E stands for Ethereum, and the D stands for DeFi Pulse, right? So Celsius is a token for the Celsius platform, and Celsius, their platform essentially allows you to earn yield on your cryptocurrencies. And Celsius is like earlier when I spoke about platforms and tokens that are extremely user friendly. Celsius has that, market down a million %. Like Celsius is easily the most user-friendly, retail-friendly, grandma-friendly, onboarding experience I've ever had. And I really think in the future, people, I have a narrative called C.A.A.S.A, C.A.A.S.A, crypto as a savings account, right? I think in the future, people are going to be using crypto as a savings account. And that's why I'm super bullish on Celsius, because to earn 13% yield on your stable coins, to move that from your savings account into Celsius is absolutely trivial. Their customer experience, their customer service is absolutely fantastic. Even if you look at Binance, right? Binance has been around since 2017, the biggest exchange. The customer service is absolute trash. I've lost, I think like $1,500, and I've been trying to, with Binance, and I've been trying to get in contact with them for the last 4 months, literally for the last 4 months, just to get I think it's like 60 band token or something back, and they've contacted me so many times, and then they're like, oh, did we resolve this? Okay, we'll get back to you. I'm like, terrible, right? Celsius has this motto of they call it the one-touch customer experience, right? They want to solve your issue either in one email or one phone call or one something, right? If you have to do something, if you have to, respond to an email twice, they failed, right? And that's what I love about Celsius, is that customer obsession. And that's something we've seen with, Amazon has really pioneered that. And that's why I think the Cell token, luckily I've been in it since around 40 cents, and right now it's around $6. But Celsius was started by Alex Mashinsky, who he's had 4 different unicorns and an amazing entrepreneur. He was actually the guy who invented voice over IP, right? The technology that actually lets you and I talk right now, actually. So he's a fantastic team, fantastic entrepreneur, and fantastic token. Again, Celsius is just it's a platform that lets you earn yield on your cryptocurrencies, which is fairly simple and fairly trivial. But their edge is that they've made it user friendly. They have amazing customer service. So that's why I'm personally super bullish on Celsius. So that's the C part of the C-BED. And on Celsius, you can buy Bitcoin and Ethereum right directly from your bank account. And then the D part of C-BED is DeFi Pulse, right? Or a DPI token. DPI token is essentially just an ETF of, I think, some of the it's either top 10. Yeah, I think top 10 DeFi tokens. So for those who don't know, DeFi just stands for decentralized finance. DeFi, in my opinion, is DeFi really created product market fit for cryptocurrencies as a whole. DeFi is essentially a sector of the cryptocurrency market that allows you to do things like decentralized exchanges, decentralized swaps, allows you to borrow and lend your tokens in a decentralized manner. It allows you to take out leverage in a decentralized manner in case you want to go 2-3x on something. It allows you to create these portfolios of various tokens in an ETF, right? So if you're a fund manager by day and you want to get into crypto and you want to create a portfolio, you can literally create a token of other tokens, right? And then when people buy that token, it'll actually pay you a royalty, right? So DeFi, in my opinion, is going to eat the traditional or the TradFi financial sector. I think early on we're going to see a hybridization where traditional finance is going to try and get into that liquidity that DeFi allows, and I think that's going to be great. But I think, me personally, overall, I'm super bullish on DeFi as a whole, and I think we're going to see a decentralized finance become bigger and bigger. I recently mentioned that last summer was the first ever quote unquote DeFi summer. And this is when we saw DeFi tokens really explode. And this is when we saw people really start to understand, what these tokens do and really understand, the market that these tokens have. Like Aave, for example. Aave is like probably one of what a lot of people would consider a blue chip DeFi token. And it allows people to lend and borrow money in a decentralized fashion, right? So what DPI as a token does is that there's literally hundreds of thousands of DeFi tokens, right? So how do you know which ones to invest in? Okay, so what DPI does is that it's actually it's a automatically rebalanced token. You just buy one token and it has all these different 10 tokens in. And I actually don't hold any DPI. I wish I did. But when I was looking at DPI originally, when it came out, I think it was like $88. And I think it recently went to a high of $600, right? So over a 6x, basically holding, in my opinion, a much more safer exposure to this whole decentralized finance market. Because, if you buy bakery swap or whatever, right, that's a DeFi token, but that could easily go to zero. Whereas, if you buy an index, I think we all understand, the power of ETFs and the power of indexes, right? Especially if you're investing for the long term. So that's why I really think DPI as a token is a great hold for people who don't want to do the research or are super new. So yeah, that's what I would do. I'd buy Celsius, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and DeFi Pulse.
Man, what an awesome breakdown, dude. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And obviously, Harrison, me and you both can agree. We could talk about this for 45 hours straight. So, dude, I appreciate your enthusiasm in the space. I appreciate your energy and your knowledge. And thank you, my friend, for allowing me to pick your brain and be in your ecosystem, in your sphere, in your friend circle. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeremy. This has been fantastic. Anytime. I love talking usually I'm just talking with people online in forums and on Twitter and all that.
Yeah.
And so anytime, we can do it face to face, I'm more than happy.
Love it, man. Dude, thank you so much. And for everyone else who's watching out there, make sure you hit the subscribe button. You mentioned you have a Twitter address. We're going to make sure we put that in the show notes below. Guys, click on it. Awesome. Follow Harrison on Twitter. Reach out, connect, and continue to enrich lives. Let's go be amazing versions of ourselves, buy assets, and help other people in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys rock.